Welcome back to Kart Rider Drift League. We're in our preseason here. It's 2023. It's a new Kart Rider. It's a new Kart Rider season. My name is Wolf. I'm with State. We had 2 matches today already in terms of teams, but we're now moving into the individual competition, the solo match.
Yep, Group C here in the round of 32, 8-player group, solo speed, top 4 will move on to the round of 16. Top 4 will be eliminated from the solo speed section of this tournament. And, it's a little bit more of a mixed bag here today as opposed to, the opening weekend. Opening weekend, we had a lot of headliners, we had some stacked groups, but here we have some rookies, we have some veterans, and we have some players that, although they don't have a lot of experience of success in the original Kart Rider, there are a lot of people talking about in the community them having potential.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Chorong and Han, 2 players who weren't able to participate due to getting COVID-19 after qualifying last year, but now are here making their debut in Group C. So a lot of Korean fans have been waiting for these 2 players. They've been very good for a very long time in terms of the rankings, but now have actually qualified. You could see that if you look at Groups A and B, no huge surprises here in terms of who advanced. Players like Cool, Insu, Hyunsu, they all made it through. Luning, who's one of my dark horses for the tournament, does make it through. Neil, obviously advancing.
Yeah, Hojin, probably the biggest upset. A lot of people were kind of sad about that. The Emperor returning and then being eliminated, but Group B, that's still a stacked roster. Neil, Knock, Perfect, and Sunbin all moving on to the round of 16 as Hojin, he took a long hiatus after Kart Rider to come back to Kart Rider Drift. It's a big ordeal. But here in solo Group C, got World, Cosu, Chorong, Han, Summer, Yoon, and Banana, in addition to SangHyun. All these players going to try their best to qualify here for the round of 16. Only 4 will advance as DogWorld, excuse me.
It's
I
all
always
right.
get hung up by that.
It's all right. It's a dog eat the dog part of DogWorld name out there. Someone could lose the first part of their ID. All right, but yeah, he said he wants to actually finish today with a perfect record, win first every time. Extremely rare in competitive Kart Rider. As Cosu is back, the most important thing is an unbreakable age. Born in 1995, I believe, one of our oldest players here, did just return from the military, took a 3-year hiatus, is back now to compete for Kart Rider Drift.
That's his first individual tournament in 900 plus days when he took a top 8 spot in Season 2. Is Chorong, one of the players that you mentioned earlier, qualified for the Kart Rider League last year but was not able to make it because of COVID concerns. He's going to try and make his debut now. Now is his chance.
Yeah. And likewise, Han will be facing his first challenge as well. He's like, who is this? Who is this guy? Who's the guy we're seeing for the first time? It was his first time playing on stage. There were a lot of jokes online when he wasn't able to participate. It's like, is this guy even real? Like, who is this guy? He's made it in now and gets his first chance here. As Banana will also be playing this evening. One of the top players that we'll talk about in terms of item ace later. Summer, another player here qualifying. We'll see how he performs. A teamless player. He has the mindset he's going to advance no matter what.
Yeah, one of the younger players here in the KDL, born in 2007. A lot of players are saying that he has a ton of potential here in the Kart Rider Drift League, even potential to reach the round of 16 as Yoon. Now, Yoon especially impressed me there on Wednesday with his swiping, a critical part of finale success in their match there on Wednesday. Of course, Peter and Troba delivering the cast then. He's finale's item ace, and I'm excited to see him race here in solo speed, considering he didn't even race in speed on Wednesday.
Yeah. And here's Banana. He's the item ace, of course, for finale, as well as, this is a player who is very funny, and he says if he wins, he's going to do like a banana reaction, otherwise known as a ceremony.
Ceremony.
And even though he's considered one of the better item players, he is a fantastic speed racer as well, qualifying for this. And SangHyun, who's our last player in this group, everyone else wants to win. I just want the YouTube frag movie scenes. He wants a mad movie. And this guy is such a funny player. He's been in Kart Rider for a long time. I went back and watched some of his older appearances. There's so many meme highlight reels of this guy on camera. He's keeping it light today in terms of his appearance on camera. He's like, just keep it a little light. Yeah.
But I'm excited to see Banana. That guy's very exciting. As you said, finale's item ace. Didn't even race in speed on Wednesday. And You know, I want to see a banana-based ceremony coming out of him. You know, it's been too long since I've seen a ceremony at Live Korean Esports. I can't even remember when it last was. It must have been some ancient StarCraft league from a time long before now.
You see it every now and then, you know, in leagues like the LCK, but Kart Rider, it used to be a staple. I'm hoping either Banana or SangHyun is going to do something for us tonight. As our first round is going to be on Mine Gold Rush. First to 50 here, top 4 players advance to the round of 16. Let's jump into Gold Rush. And we're off. This begins Group C here of the KDL Preseason.
Yep, everybody coming down hot on the descent here at Mine Gold Rush. World in first place. Commanding position here as he looks to deliver on his promise to deliver a perfect solo speed here today. Summer contesting him there in the top spot as well as Chorong. Everyone taking these tight lines. Loving that line actually there from Cosu, gaining a lot of ground here on the top 3.
Yeah, DogWorld actually losing a little bit of control here over first. We'll have a draft here onto Chorong. Summer with a collision into him though. He's still looking to hold this very tight inner line.
Not getting pushed a little bit there by SangHyun to an outer line there, but World able to cut right back to it as he's going to try his best to catch up to Chorong, Cosu, and Yoon, who are rounding up the top 3. Getting ready to go into lap number 2.
Yeah, exiting that vortex can sometimes create a lot of collision because everyone gets stacked up here, but all players actually handling it very well as Chorong has maintained this first place spot for a really long time, even with a lot of inner turns attempted. With some really nice drifting here, and also drafts constantly hitting him, but he's maintaining that lead. Snaking very well here, maintaining the nitros to make sure he doesn't get past. I say that though, now Cosu has finally overtaken him.
Yeah, it's neck and neck there at the top 2 spots as Cosu with the inner line is going to be able to eventually pass Chorong, but it's such a tight race here in the middle of the pack. Only a fraction of a second separating first from, I want to say, 7th, possibly even 8th place, as anyone could really win this race here in the ending stretch.
Chorong still holding on to this. He's playing so well right now, and he's got such a massive lead. With all the collisions behind him, everyone else is just defending for him, it almost feels like here. As can he hold on to this? Summer's gonna pass him.
Yeah, 100 meters left to go as Summer's gonna be able to deliver the top 1 spot right there. The young star, the rising star, delivering a first place finish with Chorong, Cosu, and World following behind him, rounding out the top 4. And if you're Summer here, trying to make a big impression and make your move on to the round of 16, you're going to be very satisfied with that opening performance here in the solo speed portion of today's event.
Yeah, Chorong and Cosu bringing up 2nd and 3rd here, so you can see the distance very, very slight. The advantage that Summer has is he took a boost path and angled, and just pushed past him 50 drifts.
Ton of drifts there coming out of Summer as he was probably doing a big effort to combine those long and short drifts as best he possibly could.
SangHyun dropping to 8th will start off this series with a -1 scoreline. One of our veterans here has no titles, but looking to make a big comeback here in Kart Rider Drift. Bit of an unfortunate start to him. But we're moving on to our second track now, State. See if he can bring it back as we move into World Tour Terracotta Twist.
Track number 2 here in Group C starts now. So everyone's doing their best to build up this nitrous coming into the first couple of turns. World with a lot of speed, a lot of momentum is going to propel him from 5th place almost into first, trying to catch up here with Cosu. We're getting ready to go into the latter sections of this track. World, I love that our observer is following him because he's holding a ton of tight lines. Of course, one of the favorites to advance from this group. We'll see what he's able to bring out here as we're getting ready to come into the inner portion.
This is where things get a little bit trickier, as Chorong's actually going to cut across here and take a slightly slower, or rather slightly shorter drift, but actually it's going to give him just enough edge to get through some collisions here in the narrow part of this map. Oh, this is so disastrous. If you fall off here, your chances of getting top 3 are so severely diminished.
Yeah, multiple players there had some hiccups coming into those turns, just a little bit too congested here at the top of the pack as World and SangHyun gonna fall to 7th and 8th place, and now it's Chorong, Cosu, Summer, and Yoon looking to fight here for the top 4 spots.
Yeah, holding it pretty comfortably right now, Chorong, and this was very similar to what we saw in the previous track. We'll see if he can actually hold on to it this time. We did see Summer cut through at the last possible second to gain control, as now we're going to go into this big turn here. This is where you see a lot of passes happen. Cosu
with a fortuitous bump right there is going to be able to take first place for now as we're coming into a couple more tight turns here, heading back into the intersection. Keep in mind, this was the position where a lot of racers, they ran into some trouble here on lap number 1. Will everyone be able to navigate this successfully here in lap number 2? Some big collisions coming out, a lot of momentum lost.
Oh, Cosu with a very hard turn there and actually maintains control. He's built such a huge gap right now. Chorong's trying to go over here and draft on him, but the gap is so great right now. 500 meters to go. Can Chorong find the angle?
Looks like he's going to try and draft his way into a win here, but Kosu's holding on by a thread. Photo finish there as Kosu's going to win track number 2. World and Yoon getting tied there for 3rd place behind him, and then Summer in 5th place.
Unfortunately for SangHyun and Banana, rotating down to the bottom again here, so really just not building up the points they need so desperately. And while we always like to track who's in first place and who is winning, at the end of the day, the top 4 will advance and the bottom 4 will not. Notice SangHyun in 7th here, Banana also losing a point here after a rocky start himself. You can see the total standings here. Banana, Han, SangHyun, it's looking very difficult for them. They're not out of it by any means, but we need to see some better finishes for these players, or their chances may be over before we really reach the halfway point here in Group C.
Right, we're about a third of the way through this right now. Keep in mind, we are racing until 50 points. The first racer to reach that 50-point threshold will end the race. The points will fall where they may after that final track, and of course only the top 4 advancing right now. 4th and 5th place, it is quite close. I think it was about 3 points perhaps that were separating the pack right there, but as you said, the bottom 3 players, they're gonna need to start coming up with some big performance here, Wolf, as we're getting ready to go to Desert Ancient Aqueducts here for track number 3. And our racers are off. We'll see who's going to be able to get the most fortuitous bumps here, as it seems to be Chorong yet again.
And this is one of the least forgiving tracks in Kart Rider Drift because there are so many 90-degree turns. And then we get to this portion here, you actually have to chain your drifts together through these tunnels, which is incredibly difficult to do. You have to turn multiple times. And then this one right here where you chain it through 2 tunnels is very difficult to pull off. If for pro players, very simple, but still one small mistake could mean the difference of actually advancing or not. Is Chorong, once again, incredible performance in the first lap here of Aqueducts.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most difficult tracks that we have here in this tournament, not just because of those tight turns, as you mentioned, that you need to navigate perfectly, but look at how narrow these sections are here. World going to use that to his advantage and try and take some really sharp lines to cut across Yoon, but Yoon getting that first place back and then delivering some nice body blocking of his own as top 3 highly contested.
Yeah, DogWorld just trying to make sure that he does not get pushed into the wall there while also trying to pull away from draft range there. Unfortunately unsuccessful as Yoon is hot on his tail right now.
Yep, World still maintaining that first place lead. Han having a bit of a better showing right now here in the top 3 as we enter lap number 2. Some more difficult drifts coming in. Right now, it's not too congested, so these players are able to navigate that part of this map safely here. Not too many collisions, not too much momentum lost as World and Yoon continuing to fight for the top 1 spot.
Really greedy drift there from DogWorld, but it's going to pay off actually maintaining that lead right now, just trying to push himself ever so further away from Yoon, who's just barely out of draft range. Now pulling through, we're very close to the end.
Yep, Yoon taking some tight lines right here. He's gaining on World, but World is doing his best to body block him with 300 meters left to go. Will World be able to secure this lead? It's really tight here, and Yoon barely cuts into the front, and he's gonna take first place here.
Incredible performance here, and he's able to take it, and he was fighting tooth and nail that entire time. Gives a wave to the camera, as you know you're gonna be on camera when you are the leader, choosing the next track as well. Yoon What a great performance there. And World as well, blocking him several times. And that was a really competitive mini 1v1 we had there at the top of the standings. So massive plays there. It's not going to be enough from World to actually hold him off here. And we'll drop down to second. First place is so coveted because it means that you get 10 points rather than the 7. So a huge jump up here. Kosu's consistent performances, though, across all the tracks will actually have him at first here. And you see for SangHyun, Banana, and Han, the players who've been struggling the most, still looking rough. It's not impossible by any means, but you are now on a bit of a time limit to get into some of these top 3 finishes, or your chances of moving on to this tournament are going to diminish.
We're going to need to see some of those players at the bottom of the standings, frankly, deliver a win if they're going to come back in this one, because time is running out. It's only a couple tracks left to be played here, Wolf, as we're getting ready to go to Glacier Extreme Stadium.
Here we go. And already Chorong pulling ahead here.
Every time.
Every single time. And he and Cosu have just been so consistent. And that's what you really want in solo. Winning is nice. You get track selection. You're going to get those 10 points. But if you get top 3 every time, that is how you're going to guarantee you're advancing. And maybe in first place as well. As Banana will actually have his best start here of this group so far, pulling ahead.
I'm really liking this start here for Banana. We'll see if he's able to hold on to a top 3 spot as we get into some of the more technical turns here. And no, actually falling down to 4th place for a moment there was Banana here for entering the hairpin turns on Glacier Extreme Stadium. Will he be able to pass Chorong? Going to take some tight lines. Keep in mind, Banana, the item ace for Finale Esports. It's going to be tough for him to try and contest with some of the best speed racers in the world, but for now he's doing it here.
Yeah, he really is. Great hairpin turn from all 3 of these players here, and some are also very successful here in the early parts of this. Our first track winner is keeping it very competitive. As Banana, on fortunate collision here, not unrecoverable, actually gets bumped right afterwards from behind, but he's going to drop down quite significantly, and that's not acceptable when you consider you're only at 1 point right now. And you know, if you're doing much better in individuals, you'd be like, okay, drop it to 5th, not the end of the world, but drop it now to 6th with only 1 point. A disastrous scenario.
Yeah, really one of the worst case scenarios there for Banana, as World also took that turn a little bit too tight. It's going to get him possibly in a bit of trouble here as the pack behind Chorong is so congested entering the hairpin turns here on the final lap.
Chorong's like, thank you very much for being my blockers. And now he's actually going to take these hairpin turns without being contested whatsoever. 500 meters to go. No one's anywhere near this guy.
Yeah, it's a race for second place at this point. Chorong going to deliver that first spot. Han going to get second place, followed by Banana. So nice recovery there by Banana, and Han also netting some much needed points.
Yeah, that is really huge for Han, picking those up. Getting second place, that's +7, so he's going to go up to 8. Not out of it by any means, but pushing him away from SangHyun in particular. All the players, when you look at the standings, you're always thinking, when you're bottom 4, who are the ones I need to beat? And sometimes even your goal becomes not to win, but to actually defeat those players and actually have a better showing than those players. As Han and Banana picking up 7 and 5 points respectively. Not out of the woods by any means, but you could see moving up the standings quite a bit here. And now their biggest opponent is going to be Yoon and Cosu, right? To actually break into that top 4. Still a ways away from it. We still need to see a consistent showing from these players, but at least step 1 is underway.
Yeah, 11 points for Han and 13 for Banana. Separate them from the threshold of qualifying as we're partway through the solo speed section of the tournament today. Getting ready to go into Glacier Snowbound Slopes. These players at the bottom of the pack, if they want to contest for those qualifying spots, they're going to have to start delivering right here, right now. And we're off. We'll see if Chorong is going to be able to take a top spot here again on the downslope here of Snowbound Slopes, as it looks like World, Summer, SangHyun, and Banana once again leading the charge, entering into some tight turns.
Yeah, really tight turns here on the Snowbound Slopes. And this is where you can really showcase, I think, one of the most obvious parts of Kart Rider Drift is actually your ability to drift on these wide turns here. And they end up getting sharper and sharper as you go down, but as you can see here, all going to go through the center path because it is the fastest. And big lead here for Summer right now, but not one that is unrecoverable, especially when we get the ski lifts where you could sometimes equalize that deficit. It's actually very close right now.
Yeah, top 4 is very close here. SangHyun covering a lot of ground, riding that momentum, and a little bit of an unfortunate collision for one racer there. It's going to give SangHyun some room to maneuver. He's going to take a bit of a more dangerous line here, coming down the center of the track. Try and save as much time as possible. And look at how tight the race is here in the top 4 as we're entering.
There's the ski lift. And this is where sometimes you can make up that deficit as everybody's going through. Summer, World, and Cosu still the top 3 as Han's competing very aggressively. It would be huge if Han could take a dark horse win here and take that first place, add 10 points. That would really push him away from some of those players he's competing with right now for qualification. And right now he's taking the lead. This is so important for Han right now if he can actually maintain it here.
Absolutely, and Han actually creating a little bit of a separation between him, Cosu, DogWorld, and SangHyun. So if Han's able to maintain this, he will get some much-needed points heading into the last couple of tracks. To follow that story closely here, though, is a lot of more players coming in on these technical turns. I mean, I know you said they're wide, but let me tell you, when I'm racing on this one, they feel narrow, Wolf.
Well, they certainly do. Everyone's going through the middle. Han's dropped back to 4th. 4th still decent for him, but he would obviously love to get a higher place here. Top 2 in particular is really what he's looking for, but now he's in the tight pack here away from the leaders and dropping rapidly.
Yeah, some unfortunate collisions with a lot of players. They're almost getting swept. He's going to drop all the way back to 7th place, and now World and Cosu here contesting 1st and 2nd spot. These guys have a lot of points already under their belts. We're entering the finishing line.
Nice block.
World in a commanding position. Cosu just right behind him.
Really nice block there from World, actually getting that collision there with his rear view mirror. And with the rear camera, you can see the approach angle of who's behind you and then knock them back like that. That was really well played. If he doesn't actually do that, the draft comes through and there's a pretty good chance that it almost becomes a 50-50 who's going to win there at the end. But one good block. And World, with a great performance today, is going to grab 10 points. Cosu will take the 7. Unfortunately for Han, who was in the lead there at the beginning of that second lap for so long, will only take 1. SangHyun and Banana also down here at the bottom. And now it's really a race between Yoon and Summer at this point in time for qualification. Not that it's impossible here for Han, but he's going to have to overperform. And if Chorong or DogWorld take the next 2, that's the end. So you're really running out of time. You probably have 3 tracks left realistically here to turn this one around.
For Han, from here on out, it's going to take pretty much nothing but first place finishes if he's going to try and contest those top spots. Maybe a 2nd, but that's about as far as it can stretch. So really, at this point, it's a competition between the top 5 in this group to see who will be eliminated and which 4 will advance to the round of 16 here at the KDL preseason. Let's go to Forest Zigzag Timber.
It's time to zig and it's time to zag as we move to our 6th round of Group C here for the individual portion of our tournament.
You just had that one in your pocket,
Oh,
didn't
I
you?
did. You know I did.
This is a very fun, very precarious, and very dangerous track as it kind of has a bit of the same feel as Terracotta Twister does, where there's a lot of really sharp, windy turns, a lot of very technical turns, a lot of potential for collision and for mishaps. You see one player right there, SangHyun, I believe, falling to the bottom of the pack with a bad collision there. Chorong, as consistent as he has been, once again in 1st place.
Yeah, you got to feel for SangHyun here too, because he needs to play aggressively. If he doesn't get a good start, he has to take massive risks here to hope to get into the top 3 and contest for that 1st place spot, because his score is so low at 5 with Banana. But taking high risks means that your chances of getting that collision or falling behind or even worse, so it just feels doomed at this point in time. As Chorong's still maintaining that lead.
Quite a bit of separation as he's actually, I think, out of drafting range from Summer and World. So unless they're able to take some really tight lines and close the distance on him, it's going to be a hard-fought battle to catch up to Chorong as he's starting to run away with this thing.
Yeah. So moving into our final lap here, you know, weirdly, World and Summer can kind of use drafting together as a team to actually catch up on him, and it looks like they kind of are, intentionally or not, as they're going to be able to utilize draft each other to finally close that gap. But you can see Summer can now get into range here of Chorong, but Chorong's turns have just been so incredible. You could draft on him, but you can't keep up with him unless you could drive as well as he can. And right now, Summer is on the cusp of it, but Chorong's knowledge of this track is just so deep.
He's taking beautiful lines coming into all these turns, just maintaining as much spread as he possibly can despite all the drifting, all the drafting coming in from Summer and World. They're just not able to close the distance on Chorong just yet, and we maybe have 1 kilometer left here on this track for entering the final laps. This race in the top 3 about as close as it's been, and a big collision there. Chorong losing some momentum, and now World in first place.
Oh, World might be able to do the back-to-back to take it to 40 points here. Chorong hot on his tail, but it's so hard to pass here. We are very close. It's about 10 seconds away from this one. 500 meters to go. Chorong, he had the lead the entire time. Can he steal it back?
He's trying to draft World to get into that position, but no. World will be able to secure that win. Chorong and Cosu right behind him. Banana and Summer following in 4th and 5th place, as we're kind of solidifying the top 4 right now, and we have to see the standings, exactly what is separating position 4 and position 5, because at this stage, that is really all you have to have your eyes on.
Yeah, you really do. And for DogWorld, all it takes is a first place finish. So if you are below the cutoff line right now, you're hoping that DogWorld does not actually take a 3rd first place here in a row, because any other scenario means you buy at least 1 more round. As you can see, he's 3 points away with the 7 points Chorong gets there. But right now, it's between Summer and Yoon realistically here, and Yoon needs to do well. Hope Summer also falls below, and that that World does not actually take first place. Keep calling him DogWorld sometimes, because that's what his name says, even though he's World. And look, this is the most intense part here. Because also, if you're World, you're like, man, if I get another win in a row, I'm taking first place in this group. It's done, as we are going to move into what could be the final track here if he does get that first place. Desert Construction Chaos.
And here on Desert Construction Chaos, World's gonna look to try and close out the solo speed section of today's tournament. In 4th place right now, Summer in 4th, Yoon in 5th with 8 points separating them. So if you're Yoon, you gotta have a better position here than 8th place. You gotta be gunning for 1st, you gotta be gunning for 2nd if you wanna close the distance. Otherwise, the top 4, you can just ship it all the way to the round of 16.
Well, luckily for him, Summer is also down at the back of the standings, and that's the one person you really don't want to be at the top. Is also World dropping down to 8th now, so this is anyone's race, and suddenly the chances for Han feeling ever so more hopeful. But it's going to take a lot more than a top 3 finish here. You really need to be pushing into top 2 right now. As Chorong, the pinnacle of consistency, he is just not going to drop. May have caster cursed him for a moment, but I mean, he's still up there.
He's so good, he's even impervious to the caster curse, man. He's immune. Look at him just continue to roll along here, trying to draft Yoon to close the distance, take another tight line. We'll be able to pass Yoon there and get top 3 again. And my eyes right now, they're on World, who's in 5th place. If he's able to somehow make a miracle comeback here in the 2nd lap and secure that 1st place, he will be the winner, and the race will be concluded today. But if not, we will go to at least 1 more track. So if you're Yoon right now, gunning for that top 4 spot, that's what you're hoping for. You do not want to see World come back, but World, he's so good. The favorite entering this track, entering today's race to advance into the round of 16, and he's almost gone from 8th place in the first roll.
He's fighting for this, and so this race between Yoon and Summer is their final one. If he does actually get that first place, is Yoon with some really nice aggressive turns. He's taking some big risks here, but he's pushed into top 3, 2 places ahead of Summer right now. Regardless of whether this is the last track, you absolutely want to be pushing the distance ahead. Now he's in first with some collisions. Yoon, he is pushing his way maybe to a top 4 finish here.
Yeah, Yoon in first place right now with only 500 meters left to go. Summer right behind him. It all comes down to this turn right here. Summer taking the inner line. He was greedy for it because he knew he needed to be, but instead Yoon going to get that 10 points. Those much needed 10 points. And with Summer finishing in 3rd place, that gap has become so much closer.
It really has. And, you know, if you look at the standings, you're going to see Yoon jumping up pretty significantly. Now, Summer with not a weak performance either, so they're going to be very close. And we take a look at where they actually stand here. But 10 points to Yoon, Summer picking up 5. That's 5 points closer. You've actually closed the gap. As for World here, picking up only the 4. So now he needs to get top 2 in order to end our race. So we might even have some additional tracks to come through as, wow, Summer 3 points ahead of Yoon still, but it is very close, neck and neck to decide who is going to qualify to the next round. So that's going to be one of the things that we keep an eye on, is the individual competition between those 2 players within the race itself.
Yeah, because that is the qualifying line. It's only the top 4 that can advance to the round of 16, and right now only 3 points separating Summer and Yoon. Yoon with a fantastic finish there. His fans coming out, they want him to advance to the round of 16, and right now he is standing at the precipice, going from an 8-point differential to a 3-point differential. Coming into Boom Hill Tunnel, which very well could be the last track if World is able to deliver a stunning performance again.
And if World gets top 2, the race will end. So that is why it is so important for Yoon and Summer to keep an eye on those players to see where they're going to finish, because World obviously wants that 1st place for higher seeding, but it is all about for the rest of the competition to see where those 2 players land. And if he does not get top 2, we'll have another race on our hands. We'll get one more chance as we're moving into Village Boom Hill Tunnel to see which one of these 3 players is going to come out on top. Off we go. 6 points is the difference between World's 44 and the 50 required to finish the group in 1st place. 10 points is for 1st, 7 is 2nd. If he gets 3rd, he'll just be 1 point shy.
Yep, we'll see if World is going to be able to deliver a top 2 performance here and close out the competition here on Saturday. But right now, Summer, Yoon, and Cosu in the lead here as we enter this winding road portion here on Village Boom Hill Tunnel. Keep in mind, this is a 1-lapper, so every position matters. Every bump, every mistake, every draft, you got to take the best possible line.
Summer looking really good right now, has a significant lead.
No.
Oh, this is rough for Yoon.
Oh, no. Disaster here for Yoon.
Especially when you consider DogWorld's in top 3. All he needs to do is pass one of these 2 players, and Summer's advancing.
Not only is World in top 3, but Summer's in 1st place.
Yeah.
So things looking very dire here for Yoon, as we might have secured the top 4 spot here. We'll see now entering this very tricky shortcut. All these players much better than me, able to navigate it. They didn't even press R even once.
Nope. For me, I call it press R to retire. Summer's gonna finish it.
Yeah, that's Summer basically securing his top 4. Yeah, that's number 2 for World.
Because World's top 2, so individual race is complete. Summer has secured his spot in top 4, and it is going to be World, Cosu, Chorong, and Summer who will advance to the round of 16. Summer, a shaky start, you know, in this, because he won early on, but then dropped to those bottom places for tracks 2, 3, 4. Looked like he might not advance because he wasn't as consistent as Cosu, he wasn't as consistent as Chorong. But picking up 10 points here is going to do it for him. DogWorld will finish, I call it DogWorld again, World will finish with 51 points here. Those are our top 4. DogWorld? Hey, look, you chose this ID, not me.
It's the first day, man. You'll get it.
Cosu. Summer ends up taking 3rd, actually, and will pass Chorong because of those 10 points. And unfortunately, Yoon, 7 points behind here. That one collision early on really did him in.
Yeah, just getting hung up a little bit there on the wall was Yoon, and that's got to be a heartbreaker as he won the previous track. He put himself in striking distance for qualifying for the top 16, but instead it will be World, Cosu, Summer, and Chorong advancing from Group C in what has been one of the more entertaining groups that we've had so far. You look at the roster that we had, Group A and Group B just absolutely stacked from top to bottom. I mean, it was a star-studded performance, but there was so much drama here in Group C, even coming down to the final track in terms of who is going to qualify, who's going to go home, and our victors could not be more happy to be advancing to round of 16 in the first preseason here for KDL.
Yeah. Summer, such a young player, and had an incredible performance tonight. Clutched it when it mattered most in that final track. Really impressive to see. Unfortunately, some of our more popular up-and-comers, Banana and SangHyun, who haven't had individual results, haven't been able to take any titles, but are very fun players, you know, ones who like to do ceremonies and stuff like that, really just not able to show up today. As Han as well, in his debut, had some moments for sure, but couldn't stick the landing. I feel like he has a great future ahead of him, and he was finally able to do his debut today. But that's the nature of kart rider. You know, you train so hard, you qualify, you get COVID, you don't get to participate, you do it again, you finally get your chance to compete, and it's just one group. You don't perform, see you next season, you know, in the qualifiers. It's just that tough.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what really separates players like World and Cosu from everybody else on the field, you know? It's that consistency. It's every single race. They might not be winning, but they're contesting, you know, top 2, top 3, top 4.
Chorong as well.
Chorong as well. Just right out of the gate in almost every single race, he was right there in the top 3. So a lot of very powerful racers here coming up to give us a show here in Group C in kind of unexpected fashion.
Yeah. Take a look at today's results to see how it all shook down, because we did, of course, have our team matches earlier on, where we did see KWANGDONGFREECS take a 2-0 over Sensation in fairly dominant fashion. The team item battle was much closer than what we saw in the speed race.
Yeah, but you look at the last 3 maps and it was a sweep, so.
True.
KWANGDONGFREECS coming back from an 0-2 deficit to win item and avoid the ace match there. They will be very happy with that victory. As a brief look here at Liiv, SANDBOX versus Reboot, and just complete dominance from SANDBOX. It felt like every single track, they were just in complete control. Even in item mode, they were just on another level.
Yeah, they really were. Taking a 6-0. The team to beat right now in KDL Preseason, just absolute dominance. You know, Insu and Neil with so many of the track records also here early on. You know, some of those records may be broken in the coming seasons, but for now, I mean, they're just leading the pack so hard. It's hard to compete. It feels like everyone else is competing for second. And these are our standings, of course, with Liiv SANDBOX having 5 rounds to lead over KWANGDONGFREECS.
5 rounds after playing 2 matches. That's just absurd. I mean, 6-0 will do that for you, but Liiv SANDBOX are just a force to be reckoned with, not just because of Insu and Neil, as you said, who are speedsters that can hang with the rest of them, but their item ace Jimin absolutely coming through in the clutch with the play calling here today. 3-0 item sweep. Hyunsu, a great hybrid player, and SangHyun just doing his support role, sweeping the opposing players and, you know, giving Liiv SANDBOX's speed demons the room they need to excel and thrive as we wrap up Group C. And tomorrow, we'll be here again, same time, same place. As we go into Group D, and the solo match will be Minsik Ding, Jimin, Acid Fly, who I know you're looking forward to, Wolf.
I think Acid Fly is a pretty good player, one of the dark horse in this group. I think Speed is a big standout for a lot of people. And then Ding, of course, a player that has been a very big standout. Jimin, the item ace, of course, for Liiv SANDBOX too, performing tomorrow. So I think Jimin also a player that, even though he is the item ace, a lot of people might put him as an underdog here. I think somebody you should watch out for. If he's good enough to be picked up by Liiv SANDBOX, I think his solo run is going to be strong.
Item ace or no, if you're on Liiv SANDBOX, you're probably contesting almost any tournament you enter, at least for the round of 16 is my take. So we'll see exactly how Group D is going to shake up tomorrow, of course. And guys, for you watching there at home, make sure that you keep your eyes peeled and you get your friends, you know, come tune in, let them know. KDL Global, it's around. There is an English broadcast here for Kart Rider, as these will be the upcoming matches there tomorrow. Rocks Esports facing off versus Planet in match number 1, followed by Finale Esports versus Aura.
Yeah, I think both of these matches should be very close, actually. I don't think we'll see any blowouts tomorrow. Planet kind of coming up bigger than people expected. Finale has a lot of strong players on their roster. And Rocks Esports, even though they got 2-0'd by KWANGDONGFREECS, we know Kwangdong are one of the top 2 teams right now in KDL, and Rocks definitely could bounce back in a big way. I think that tomorrow's matches should be very good, and I think we'll probably see a little bit of a closer back and forth, maybe some ace matches. So, are you casting tomorrow?
I don't think I'm on the roster for tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I don't think I think tomorrow we're definitely seeing ace matches, and that's why I was kind of trolling you a little bit, because I think tomorrow is ace match.
I'll get them eventually.
The percentage chance of ace match is very high tomorrow, let's just say.
Yeah, not just because I'm not there, man. It's going to be some pretty close ones. And one that I'm going to be watching from home with a lot of excitement is Finale Esports versus Aura, because Aura Esports, especially in the first weekend, was the team that impressed me the most, specifically in item mode. You know, like we have a lot of speed demons like Liiv SANDBOX that can not only, I mean, yeah, they're probably the best speed racers, but they're also really good item racers. But Aura, they kind of felt like item specialists there that first weekend, and Finale Esports also really good.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Follow the channels, of course, on YouTube and Twitch, so you guys will know when we're live. Speaking of, we'll be back tomorrow for more KDL. See you then.